So we have ended our series with AB in the Faroe Islands in 2058. Throughout this journey, I've played over 2,000 games as manager of AB and the national team of the Faroe Islands. Now in this video we are going to look back on the journey, look back at how the club started, and then move ourselves forward. So you join me back on day one. I kept the save file from the first ever day that we took over as manager. Bram Ellison is here, not played a single game, but let's look at AB, shall we? So the year founded 1973. Estimated value of 391k. 1.5 star below average training with a 1-star basic youth. 2-star junior coaching with a 3.5 star recruitment. So they did have good youth recruitment. Playing in an 880 capacity stadium. I don't think how many 500 seated it was. And if you remember the likes of Scala, now this guy, he was with us for a few years, wasn't he? And he really was a top player. And if you remember Thomas Junge as well, he gained Faroe Islands citizenship as well, and he really did push on. £42,000 in the bank as well. They started at the bottom. 1 third tier title and 1 second tier title. That was it. Then we jump forward to a £1.2 billion estimated value. A state-of-the-art training facility, an excellent youth facility. Should be state-of-the-art, but Football Manager bug stopped that. Exceptional youth recruitment, exceptional junior coaching, with 302 million in the bank. That's 302 million more than they had when we started. But this is the big difference. The honours. If we go on to the competition side here, the honours. So they had this second tier in 2017. They had the third tier in 2002. Since then, we've added a little bit. So under 18 titles, we've added 33 titles for that. The Super Cup, we've added 31 Super Cups. The actual cup, we've added 28, becoming the most successful now, with HB on 28 cup titles. We have won a UEFA Youth League, best youth team in Europe, this season in 2058. Finally, in the final season, we won that. 35 league titles. From 2024, in our third season, we won our first one, and we never looked back. Runners-up in the Super Cup twice. Winner of the Europa League in 2049. Third place in the Club World Championships in 2053. And then the big one. Champions League winners in 2053 and runners-up this season in 2058. Historic. So we're going to have a look at our records. The records at the club. So we started here, and in 2024 was our first bit of money spent. Can I flip that around? I can't. So in 2024, our first bit of money spent was when we spent £8,000 on this guy, who was with us. He played 66 games for us, then went off to our B team and came back to play a year there before going back to Víkingur. But he was a top keeper for us. Then in 2025, we signed Aki Samuelsson for £80,000. And he was with us for 13 seasons. A winger who really did make a name for himself. 184 appearances for the club. Moving on to the next year, our record signing was for £70,000. And it was this central midfielder we picked up from KI. He was experienced. He was quality, and he was exactly what we needed at the time. He brought so much stability. And please let me know below if you remember any of these names. Our first big money signing was Deedhui, who was a striker. Now if you remember, 30 appearances, 52 goals. We paid £200,000 for him in 2030. and we ended up selling him for 1.1 million to Nice. He was one of our first big sales, and you can see why, with 52 goals in 30 games. But that was when we moved up into our spending. For example, 2032, just below my head there, Kim Moon-soo for 1.5 million. And then Kuki from Midtjylland for 1 million. He is a guy who we need to mention. 120 appearances in the 8 years he was with us. It was a really good stalwart for us. Then in 2034, records were going to be broken because we signed Lethal Skara. Now, this is a name so familiar with this journey. 2034, we signed him. 57 appearances, 89 goals before going off to Genoa. Then he came back to us and scored 48 goals in 40 games before going off to Peterborough, before coming back and playing 96 games for the first team, scoring 113 goals, and playing 30 games for the B team, scoring 20 goals. Now, Lethal Skara is a name which will forever be remembered from this journey. He just was a memorable player just because of how many goals he scored for us. Jumping forward to 2039, and that was when Sterler joined the club, and unfortunately he actually retired at the end of last season, because it would have been nice to have had him with us in the final year. But from 2039 he was with us for almost 20 years. He went off to Cardiff for a couple of years, but most of his journey was with us. We picked him up, if I look for Sterler, for 4.9 million. Now, if you jump forward, our first £10 million player, who has only just retired after going to Al Arabi from us, was Gonzalez. We signed him in 2041, sold him to Porto quite quickly after for roughly the same money before we brought him back. Played another 82 games before he went off to Qatar to play the rest of his career. But then when we work our way up, you've got the likes of Mark Quadson. He's still playing now, age 35, so we have to go to the history. He joined us in 2040, you can see here, for 1.4 million. He played a lot of games for us. You can see from 2040 to 55, that's 15 years. He was only missing for 3 seasons. And just when you look back through some of these people, Sterler coming back there from Benfica, Charlie McDowell from Norwich in 2046. He is one of the best players in the world now. And we sold him for 80 million. He was only with us for 2 years. And that was when them really big types of profits were coming in. 20 million spent, 80 million recouped. But you can see our record signings. 40 million for Runar from Rosenborg was probably our biggest sign ever. In fact, it was our biggest sign ever. But we had him for 2 years, sold him for 48 million, so we didn't lose money on him. He's now by far one of the best players in the world. He's always appearing in the top 10 lists. We've had so many players come through the books who are now the best players in the world or in and around. Keith Franklin, Runar, Korb, and McDowell, all in the top 10 players in the world now, and all have came through AB at some point. So when we look back through like Fans Player of the Year, for example, again we can't switch it. Let me remove myself a second. So here when we look at the Fans Player of the Year, first season was Razmi Toure. He was only with us for a couple of years, a defender. I do remember him. And then Junge McHugh, who was with us for quite a few years. He was with us from 2022, 2032. He was with us. Considering he was there when we started. Mauricio, that's a flashback. The first Brazilian superstar. He was scoring for fun. Fredrickson. And then you have Gustav Kilberg. Gustav, what can we say about this man? An attacking midfielder who scored 136 goals. An attacking midfielder who, when this team was in its biggest development, he was the stalwart. He never left. He was with us, along with Mishan. Retired too early, left too early. 2036 to 2049. Should have been capped by the Faroe Islands. That bug within the game massively costing us. Midskogen, another top player. One cap for Norway. So frustrating. Again, could have been a top player in the national team. 15 years he was at the club. And just players like that made this journey what it is. You're looking through there. Rene Vang finally got a Fans Player of the Year just before the save ends, which is great to see. When you go through oldest player, for example, Leah got that Munksgaard. Sturla picked it up for 5 years in a row. Michael Meng, 33 years old. He was with us for 5 years there. He was with us for 8 years there. So there's some records in terms of how long people have been with us, isn't there? There's some records. Highest average ratings. You've got McHugh, Mauricio, Frederick, Izakwe, I remember him, Kilberg, Lidlskara, Midskogen. It's just flashbacks, isn't it? It's just flashbacks. Most overall goals in the season then. So Junge got 22 and 20. Scala with 19 from attacking midfield. Mauricio. Fredrickson with 49. Did anybody beat 40? Yeah, they did. I can already see further up. Ezekiel with 49. But then you go up. Daidhui with 56 in all competitions. Littlescar with 57 in all competitions. Then we had Viotti. Littlescar with 66 goals in all competitions in one season. That is just insane. Honestly, that is insane. Flashbacks like that are what make this memorable. People like that. Most matches won in a row, stuff that we're not that fussed about. Attendances. First season, 880 was our highest attendance. Then we started going to different grounds. So 2,000 due to a game being played at the National Stadium. 4,000, 5,000. Then we got into 9,000. We had our first 10,000 attendance in 2037. Then we had 15,000. These were sellouts every single season up till the last season of this whole save where we hit 24,888. League positions you can see there. First season second. That's highest league position, but it doesn't show where they finished. That's annoying. Okay, but records. Let's remove myself again. I know. You all here for the face, but highest league position first. Yeah. Most points in the season was 81 in 2047. Most league wins in the season. We won every single game that season, 2047. Most league goals in the season was in 2055 when we scored 115. And fewest league goals was 11. Brilliant. Not the best. Highest attendance, 24,888, with gate receipts of 788,000 being the highest against Lyon in the Champions League knockout rounds. Average attendance, the highest was 13,850. Lowest attendance was 256, and that was against our B team in the semi-finals of the Cup. Biggest win was in 2051 when we beat B71's B team in the Cup 13-0. Biggest defeat was not me, not guilty. Highest transfer fee paid was for Franklin from Brescia for £55 million. Dear me. Highest transfer fee received was just under £80 million for McDowell. Total transfer spending was 140, it says there, but that doesn't make sense. So most league goals by a player was Lidlskar with 250. Overall goals in the season, 66. Most league appearances was Jonas Steinberg, so we never had anyone beat that, which blows my mind, but we just didn't. Most league goals by a player in the season was 41 for Daidhui. That's impressive. Highest average rating was 8.10 after 39 games for Fredrickson. When he came to us from Ross County, I think it was, he was just insane. Nolser got youngest player ever. He's still playing. 30 years old, playing for Vikinger 4. Good to see his career is pushed on. Pontus Fransen in 2049 got the fastest goal in 15 seconds. Most goals by a player in a match was this Mikkelsen, who ended up going to Inter Miami and having a fairly good career for them. But he was a good player for us, honestly. 7 goals in a game. insane. Most assists was Midskogen. I mean, that man got so many assists, it was ridiculous. He must be in our overall 11. He must be. Youngest goal scorer was Nolser. You can see oldest goal scorer was Carlos Edwards, who we brought in season 1, scoring against EB. So fair play to him. So back to the history side of things then. Best 11. So here we are with the best. I've not looked at this, so it's going to be interesting just to see who's in our best 11. So goalkeeper is Munksgaard with 422 appearances in all competitions for us. I honestly didn't think he had that many. Linderud with 245 at right back. What a right back he was. Attribute wise wasn't the best, but he was just insane. Really, really talented. I bring myself back. Mark Watson and Michael Mengers, the back two. I'll take that. That would be a very good central defence. In fact, they did play together for quite a long time in central defence. Both over 300 appearances. Then the left back, Kielstrup gets in there ahead of Hansen. Hansen is on the bench, but Kielstrup gets in there ahead of him. Then in this defensive mid, what a defensive mid this is. I don't know how they would do defensively, but Kilberg and Mishan. 389 appearances, 190 goals, 436 appearances, 177 goals. Just mad. Absolutely mad. Then Midskogen on the right with 238 goals and 485 appearances. Inderberg in attack midfield, who was a top player. Jean-Jurgen Inderberg, also known as Paul. Bredal got in on the left wing. I'm not sure on that. I think I would have rather put some other people in there. And then Lidl Skara gets in up top. 324 appearances in all competitions. 358 goals. That's mad. Absolutely mad. On the bench, Otterson ended up playing 231 games for us in all competitions. That's just insane. How? He's only... how? Like, I can't work that out. I don't see that, like. I just don't see it. Gutterson, 250 appearances. Academy player again, who was with us for so long. I mean, how long was Gutterson with us? 2030 till 2042, when he just fell out of favour. Henry Hansen, we signed age 16, if you remember. We signed him... well, I don't have his history. We signed him from B36 in 2032. And then you have 16, who I was gutted he retired a couple of years ago. He's not even that old now. Retired age 32. I was welcoming him back, and he was going to get back into our first team. Sturler, 347. Samuelson, one of the OGs of the journey. And then McKengo with 176 goals and 203. I think Mufasa should have been in there. He had more goals than McKengo for the club. But, okay, I can't argue too much with that best 11. It's impressive, shall we say. It is impressive. I was just curious what this even is. Players. Okay. Oh, it's players who were at my club in that season. Okay. So in terms of how I've done then, if we're going to the overview, one club managed, one nation, one chance, just one opportunity. We've earned 10 million in career earnings, happy days. 486 players bought at a value of 1.3 billion, with 411 players sold at a value of 2 billion. 55 million was the most we spent. 80 million for Lindemark was the most we brought in, who's still 22 years old, and we wish him well in Germany. 21.5 million given to agents as well. 2,000 games as a manager, 2,036, 1,401, 227 draws, 409 defeats, scoring 5,476 goals, conceding 1,976, with a goal difference of plus 3,500, with a win percentage of 68%, 61 cups and 35 league titles. Is just insane. I've never checked one of these manager timelines. I'm not sure we've got the patience to go through it all. No, we don't. I'm not going through all of that. Just no. So my biography says AB legend Bram Ellison was born on the 1st of December 1987. 71 years old now. He made 25 appearances, scored 4 goals for his country. So if you remember, we did make him a former national team player for Faroe Islands. He's enjoyed phenomenal success at AB, lifting 35 league titles and winning 61 cup competitions. Ellison has earned support and praise for his recent control possession-based approach at AB, and his ability to get his team playing in such a manner has left many supporters optimistic for the future. Not when I leave. Ellison has earned himself a reputation for adopting a high-tempo pressing game and appears to be a great fit for the club's current vision at Bram Ellison Park. Bram Ellison's first non-playing role was AB head coach. During his tenure, they won the Champions League in 2053, the Europa League in 2049. They've won 35 league titles between 24 and 58, the Super Cup 28 times, the Cup 28 times, and the Super Cup 31 times. And I was made the head coach in January 2022, which we resigned in 56. In terms of personal accolades, I've won the Manager of the Year 36 times. Now, one thing I would say about AB, and one thing that I would say was disappointing about this journey, was the fact that I couldn't be successful in dragging the rest of the clubs with me. Now, what I would say is some other clubs have had a little bit more success recently and started pushing on. And we are leaving the Faroe Islands in a fairly decent spot. We sitting comfortably in 12th place on the rankings. So we are closing in coefficient-wise. Qualification-wise, because we're in 12th, we have 2 people in the Champions League, 1 in the Europa League and 2 in the Conference League. And we are closing in on these spots above. If we can get up into 10th place, we automatically will get one in the group phase. So I think we've got to take a lot of positives from that. Coefficient-wise for AB, I leave them in a very strong spot. We are currently overtaking Manchester United. So at the end of the season, AB would become the second highest ranked club in European football, which is insane. 10 years for revenue, we are the 8th best revenue-wise. So we're in a good position. We are in a good position, and we've got to look positively that we're leaving people in a good spot. The nation has rose to 12th. They've rose to 12th. So we've got to look at the positives that even though we've only just recently, in the last couple of years, had the likes of KI get to the knockouts of the Conference League, we're still progressing and clubs are getting better. In terms of the national team, that's not progressing, but there's been a major bug within this journey where it's been annoying because I'm telling you now, some of the players I've got rid of now have started qualifying for the national team, which is also driving me absolutely nuts. If we go to the national team, you can see if I can find some of the players. Wilney, for example, he's now qualified for the national team. There was a couple of defenders as well who don't seem to be in the list at the minute, but let's just say a couple of players that we were waiting a long time for since I've retired have actually qualified for the national team now. But the national team journey was annoying, and that's one of the reasons why I'm going with a vanilla league for FM24, like Turkey. I am leaning towards Turkey at the minute. It's probably 90% going to be Turkey. It's a vanilla game, which means there's no bug possibility of the national team not working if we do get a national team job. We will be starting in the lowest tier, so we do have to build ourselves up to get the national team job, etc. But hopefully when people gain citizenship, it actually happens. We leave the club with over 300 million in the bank. We have made profit every single season. They are projected to lose money, but that's always the case. But we are making profit every single season. You can see here, since 2054, we drop down, but then we go up a bit. Drop down, go up. Drop down, go up. So we are making profit at the end of every season for like 4 or 5 years in a row now. The profit loss has been in the white, well, in the black technically, but we're leaving them in a very, very strong position. FFP wise, they are currently 351 million in the plus, so they could spend big if they wanted to. If they wanted to, they could spend big. Now, I am going to holiday 10 years into the future and in another video see how they have done since I left. But honestly, I think we're leaving the club in a great spot. I think they have the ability to push on, and they have the ability to become the best team in Europe, in my opinion. I've left them in that position to do that. Now, some people did want us to have a look around the universe. So let's start with the big things. Let's go to the leagues after that. Like, I do know Liverpool are in the second tier in England. So there's something I do know. So in terms of Champions League winners since we entered the universe, PSG, Real Madrid, Bayern, PSG 2 again, Bayern 3 in a row. Then again, Real Madrid, PSG again, Man City, Arsenal, Newcastle 2, Real Betis, Leipzig, Dortmund, then we won it, Juventus, Munich, Köln, Betis, Marseille just won it from us. So the Champions League is getting passed around all over the place. Europa League, oh hello, there's some shocks in here then. Real Sociedad, Middlesbrough, Milan, Leicester, Bayern, Borough again, Atlanta, Tottenham won trophy, Blackburn, us AB, Bayern, Liverpool, Man City, Atlanta, Liverpool, Porto, Chelsea, Bournemouth in 2033 is probably the first big shock, I think. Yeah, I would say that's the first big shock is Bournemouth. And then go down to the Conference League. So, you can't, it's behind me, but Freiburg, Basel, Man United, Wolfsburg, Leicester, Sassuolo, Man United, Köln, Tottenham, Liverpool, Leicester, Hertha, Watford in 38, Stoke, Romanian side, FC Steaua Bucharest, Hanover, Brescia, Hertha, Sassuolo, Hertha, Leicester, Nice, Napoli, Swedish side, Elfsborg, that's fantastic to see. Vålerenga, Norwegian side, Vålerenga won it as well. So, some more Scandinavian nations doing well. So, let's have a look around some of the other nations and see who's been doing what. So, in terms of La Liga, Real Madrid, Barcelona, Real Madrid, Real Sociedad, Real Betis. But basically quite dull. In terms of the clubs in the league, is there any shocks we could say? I would say no. Dropping to the second tier is any clubs who should be in the top flight. I don't see any. Now, in this second flight, there's the likes of Sanse, I've never even heard of, Keon, and then there is some Badajoz. So there are some smaller clubs have got up there, but in terms of winning the top flight, Spain, isn't it? So in terms of the Premier League, if you go to the past winners, you've got Arsenal, Man United, Newcastle a few years in a row, Man United, Chelsea, Arsenal. No shocks. In terms of runners-up, the first big shock is Watford there in 2030-33. And then after that, Blackburn are there. Blackburn again there. Blackburn seem to be in around the top three. Middlesbrough as well. Tottenham in the top three. It's almost a shock. But there's nothing major there. Luton are in the top flight. Watford. Middlesbrough, obviously they've been in around there though. Ipswich are back up in the top flight. Bristol City are top of the Premier League at the minute. Dropping to the second tier, you've got Portsmouth topping it. Wrexham in 5th. Liverpool down in 8th place in the second tier. I think they actually look for a manager as well, they are. Cambridge are in there as well. Everton are right down there. Going into the third tier, you've got West Brom. Fulham are down in the third tier now. Salford have come up. Work my way down. I don't see any other big shocks there. Down in League 2. And Birmingham are down in League 2 now. I think we could probably call that a shock. But apart from that, Preston down in League 2. But nothing major apart from that. So let's drop ourselves down. Let's check out France. Is there any shocks in the top flight in France? Go to past winners. It's a PSG fest. PSG, Rennes and Lyon. Any other shocks of teams in the division? Not really. Annecy maybe, but no. France is about as exciting as Spain. Let's go and check out the Bundesliga, shall we? And let's see. I see Köln have won the last two. Dortmund, Bayern, Köln, Dortmund, Bayern, Leipzig, Bayern. Okay then. In terms of teams up here, not a single shock. We're in 2058, and there's not a single shock. What about the second tier? Has any club come up to the second tier which shocks me? Oh, Germany, why do you do this to me? Why do you do this to me? Italy. Please, Italy, give me something. By the way, having this many leagues loaded means my computer's been hating me. Atlanta, Inter, Brescia, Milan, Brescia, Inter, Milan, Lazio, Inter, Milan, Juventus, Milan. Okay, it's a mixed bag, but no big shocks. Cremonese in there, Perugia back up, Crotone, Spezia, Cosenza, don't think I've heard of them. Fairly sure I've not heard of them, but I'm not sure. Maybe I have. Anyone dropped down who I didn't see? Fiorentina, Bologna, they're down in the second tier now. Oh no. Venezia look like they could be going down with only 7 points. I don't think I have the C. I didn't have the C division active. If I go to add remove leagues, you can see what I've been running with this active. So Denmark, England, Faroe, Finland, France, Germany, Sweden, Spain, Norway, Netherlands, Italy and Iceland. So we'll check the Netherlands and just see how that's been going. Past winners, Ajax quite a few years, final, PSV, final, PSV, Ajax, final, PSV, Ajax, final. Any shocks? Almere City, but it's not really a shock, it's literally a second tier team. Nope. Anybody dropped down who should be in the top flight who we just didn't see at first glance? We're in 2058. 2058. How has more stuff not happened? Let's go and check out my adopted home nation where I live now, Norway. See who's up there, who wasn't up there. Start Bryne, one of my local sides, 20 minutes from me, where Haaland comes from. They are now in the top flight. Jer in the top flight. Asana in the top flight. Second tier. Let's have a look. Eggerson's relegated. That is the hometown where I live. FK Eik Tunsberg relegated. Elverheim. Hamkam. Jordalen. Shade. Arndal. Todden. Stromsgodset going back up. That's where Martin Ødegaard started his career. So it's interesting. You can see by the way the Faroe Islands League is... I know it's somewhere there. So the Faroe Islands League's in a good spot, 11th. Just outside the top 10 in terms of league rankings. You can see we're pushing on. But I think we're done. Apart from a 10 years into the future video I'm going to put out from this save to see how they did without me as manager. That's it. We are done managing AB. We are done, and the support is mental. Like, if I open up my phone now and go to yesterday's video on my analytics, in fact, if I turn it, right, we are over 500 views, okay? Over 500 views on the last two videos. We are months and months and months into this save. Like, again, game status. We started in December 2022. I've been playing this game for my life 25 days and 20 hours and 58 minutes. It's gone 21 hours soon. It's mad. Dedication fact. This is my life and I'll do what I want with it. I've played this since December. This goes out in September and there's still over 35% of my subscribers are watching the videos. of this Let's Play series. And I cannot give you enough gratitude for that. So thank you so much. Yeah. We're done, aren't we? We're done. Goodbye, AB. And join me in the next Build a Nation when FM24 comes out. We will have a mini-series through Beta. I'll release a video in a few weeks talking about my FM24 plans in terms of giving you an idea of what to expect. But, yeah. Thanks for watching. Goodbye, AB.